And we are live. And as you know, I have to say that we're live because, as always, we've been busy chatting beforehand, and we just have to make sure, yes, we are on now. So, we can stop chatting, because we were just saying we haven't seen each other for so long in person, and it's just so nice to catch up. So I'm very grateful that you have agreed to come and spend some of your time with us today. And Laura is again across the pond. She's over in Canada, and so it's really interesting because we had Steph on yesterday. I don't know if you saw that, but two people from Canada all of a sudden. So it's brilliant to connect with you. How are you doing, Laura? How is everything going?
I'm doing great. I've been enjoying a variety of different projects and enjoying the space and time. It's been a lot of challenges as well, changing and shifting and, riding the waves, of course, as well as just, I always struggle watching people struggle. And so that's been hard, and it's hard to watch the collective struggle in that way. But it's also a huge blessing to be able to explore and integrate so many different tools and help people with tools and see that help as well.
Yes. So I want to just give a little bit of background, because Laura and I have a passion. We both share a passion, and that's teaching kids yoga. I know you love kids yoga. I love kids yoga. We have that in common. So we already bonded over that. But and of course, I know Laura from the mystery school. And I just want to go over, my whole point of these interviews is to just share my whole amazing network of people with everyone, and you are one of those people as well. You have your own center, which is a hub of community. It's like this whole vibe of everybody's welcome and community in Shambhala, which I love. You are also a professional in the mental health arena as well, and you of course are a guide and healer and teacher in the mystery school. So this is really interesting for me. What, as a mental health professional, if you could give us a bit of background. Obviously you just mentioned that you don't like to see people struggling. Was that kind of the direction you've always wanted to take, as a child and what have you, to help people? How did you get into that arena?
Yeah, it's a good question. And it is something that has always been there. I have memories sitting at the beach as a kid and looking to the water, thinking how grateful I was for where I grew up, and recognizing that not everybody has this, and just, yeah. So as a kid, I always just had that awareness. I don't think I ever sat down and thought, oh, I'm going to help people, or I'm going to be a registered psychotherapist, or I have my cat hanging out with us right now. This is Shambhala. Yeah, I don't think I ever sat down and thought that, but I know that it was always in the core. So psychotherapy, even that, it's just, I went to school for something called drama and education in community. So it was using the arts to work with people, and that was through education or through community. And I loved the program. But after the program, I didn't really know what I was going to do with it. I knew I needed to travel, and that was the one piece. And then I just landed a job in a community girls' home, and a job I didn't necessarily want at the beginning, because I thought, I don't really get along with girls. I don't know how good I'm going to be in this. But it was one of the most amazing experiences. And I was able to bring drama therapy and art therapy into that setting. And it just opened a whole door for me. I started working at Children's Mental Health Agency and grew in that agency, working with little kids from 0 to 6 years old and their parents and parenting. And then when I started with using advanced spiritual teachings in the psychology, everything just kind of came together. And I think when we understand ourselves as humans, and that's mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, everything starts to weave, and we can bring all the pieces to the puzzle. And that's just kind of how it unfolded for me. But yeah, working with kids, I'm doing a kids program right now. It's called The Alternative. The whole purpose of it was to create a space for kids to connect and be in a community. as well as support parents during this, because I think parents are extremely stressed and having to make massive decisions with no real direction because everyone has a different perspective and opinion. It's kind of hard to make those decisions. And so it's been an amazing program to watch these kids, you know, come in with high anxiety and then leave with smiles on their faces, and just you could see their shoulders drop and just relax over the course of the period that they're there. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
I love that. I love that. So you started off then with the arts, and that's very interesting because we're seeing now, you know, especially in the UK, I don't know if it's the same in Canada, that actually the arts in schools are being pulled back. So singing, dancing, drama, all those things now are not COVID secure, you know, or whatever they, you know, the term is. You know, like my niece was telling me they can't do music because when you sing you spit, so they're not allowed to sing. And these are the things that we grew up in learning how to express ourselves. And I mean, could you talk to us about that, about the impact that not having the arts could have on children's mental health and, you know, grown-ups as well?
Yeah, I mean, that whole part is heartbreaking because of that power of that expression. And, you know, it's moving energy. So when we have a buildup of anxiety or stress, to be able to move that energy through different forms of communication, because not everybody can use their words, and kids don't use their words. They show how they're feeling. They show, and a lot of times we see that as behaviors and we think, oh, that's a bad kid, but there's no such thing as a bad kid. They're really just showing us more information. And to pull that from the education system, it's devastating. And it's something that parents need to become aware of so that they can figure out a way to weave it into at home where it is, you know, where they can sing and they can express, and to recognize that that space needs to be there. You know, making kids come home and do homework right after the bat, like that might be too much, but having a space to color or draw or to sing and dance, like all of that stuff is such a huge outlet. And in that space, that's where kids talk. You know, so parents, they ask their kids, oh, how was your day? Good. And that's all they get, right? Because it's just the way kids communicate. So if they're doing something, whether that's coloring or painting or drawing or eating a snack even, that's when they're going to start to say, oh, this happened or that happened. Oh, this reminds me of this. And the teacher said this today. And everything can unfold. So yeah, and as adults, I mean, I spend all the stuff I do with kids, I do with adults, because it's a matter of reconnecting to that inner child and allowing that inner child to express, to release, to heal in all these levels. I actually have a really interesting story, Kate, that falls into this week. I don't know if you want to hear.
Please, we do. Okay.
So expressive arts is huge for me, and through drama and things like that. But I was always into the acting side of stuff. And there's a play, you must know the play Annie, of course. And I had auditioned to it when I was like 10 years old. And I was so excited. The teacher that was the director was my teacher who was kind of helping me with acting. And so he had told my mom that he was excited for me to audition, but then when I sang, I didn't have a strong singing voice, so he couldn't put me in a like a solid part. And ironically enough, I was casted under NYC, which is where I found the mystery school was in New York. But anyways, it's been this thing where it's like, oh, I can't sing. Like I decided when I was a kid, I can't sing. And I just never did. I would do all the acting piece, and if there was any singing parts, I just wouldn't do it. And I got into Kundalini yoga, which is all about, you know, movement, meditation, and sound, and creating sound. So that was really healing for me. And this past month, I would say, I kept getting dreams of taking singing lessons, and that I had to take singing lessons and all of these things. And this girl came for a life activation about a week and a half ago, and she brings the Annie brochure from like, I don't know, 1995. She brings this Annie brochure. She's like, oh, I saw your name in here and I thought I would show you. And I just looked at it because that morning I had a dream of the person I'm co-teaching the alternative with. She sings and stuff. And she was in the dream. She's like, Laura, you need to take singing lessons. And then that day she gives me the Annie brochure. I'm like, oh, this is crazy. So I signed up for singing lessons this week. And honestly, it has opened up this huge piece. It's been amazing. I was so excited about it. And I want to share this story because so many times in life, we have these experiences where we just decide, oh, that's not me, or I can't do it. And it shows up in so many different ways. You know, as a kid, maybe you have a bad math mark and, oh, well, I'm not good at math. Or, oh, somebody in your class can draw better than you. It's like, oh, well, then I'm not a good artist. And so we just make these huge decisions at a young age that dictate the rest of our life. And then when you're going through this healing process and getting to know who you are, you kind of have to go through that box of decisions and be like, is that even true? And so for me, I was like really frustrated with myself that I allowed that to even occur, because the singing aspect opened up so much. And as you know, there's different rituals and different, Enoki and different things like that we use in the mystery school, where we really utilize our voice. And I'm teaching and talking all the time. And so just the breathing techniques and the use of sound is so powerful. So to take that away from kids in schools, I think it's taking a part of us. And so if we can't do it in schools, then we got to find a space to do it. The singing teacher, she has her beautiful grand piano, and then she's got a plexiglass in between where she is and where the singer is. And you just figure out ways, to make things happen so that we can still be in touch with community, but within ourselves as well.
This is a massive piece, and it's so interesting that you talk about the singing, because earlier on in the week we had Christine Gordon, MBE, who is a classically trained singer and runs a school for children with autism. She's also in the mystery school, and she's she is all about the arts and singing, and does it with children of all abilities, and that's what she uses to actually teach children life skills, through the drama, through the musicals, through the singing, through the dance, through that. And I think that a lot of children learn so much that way. It's such a confidence builder, and it's fun, So yeah, I'm very much hoping that schools are able to work out a way. And if, like you say, if not, then maybe parents, can take that as something that's very important on board, and we can get that to kids ASAP. So tell me, so your professional life as a mental health expert, psychotherapist, and mystery school, how does that weave? How does that interlink, or does it, or doesn't it? Give us a bit of background about that.
Yeah, so it definitely weaves, because both are spaces where we connect as humans. And so I'm a registered psychotherapist. It's a hat that I'll put on when I need to. I don't necessarily identify in that way, like in the sense of like, this is who I am. But the tools that we learn with psychology and how the brain works and how stress affects the brain and the body is something that is very evident in the mental health world. Mindfulness-based practices, CBT, DBT, these certain therapeutic practices all talk about mindfulness. And one of the things that the piece that's missing is, where else can you go? Once you've settled the brain, once you've settled the mind, once you've conquered mindfulness in a way. And what is mindfulness? I hate the term mindfulness, because we don't want our mind to be full, right? But we do want mindfulness, because mindfulness is about awareness. And so if we can develop a sense of awareness of what we're thinking, how we're feeling, where we are, and just be grounded, then that's a huge game changer. But in terms of, being a guide and teacher in the mystery school, one of our classes that we teach, Empower Thyself, of course, and also Stress Rescue, where we get a chance to talk about, the mind and the brain and these different things. It brings mindfulness into this piece of developing your intuition. And one of the things that's missing in these major mindfulness teachers and mindfulness practices, mindfulness movement, I'll say, they shut that off. When people start to express, oh, I'm seeing colors, or I'm feeling this, they're like, nope, don't report any of that. Just focus on what you see, what you hear, what you can smell, like the five senses. But then they don't know how to expand from that space. And the piece that's missing is that when we do settle everything down, and when we are able to implement mindfulness, using our eyes to see, our ears to hear, our nose to smell, our mouth to taste, to connect with touch, that calms our brain, relaxes the body, but then it allows us to flow and connect to our intuition. And our intuition is our guiding star. We know everything we need to know within us, but when we're overstimulated by so much pressure, so much stimulus, so much, opinions and perspectives and all the things, it's hard to connect to ourselves. And so we end up just adopting what everybody says to us or what everybody tells us or what we're seeing as truth when we're not actually connecting to our inner truth. So when we can actually understand the psychology, understand the brain, understand how it works and all of that stuff from a scientific perspective, then we can start to connect to a deeper part of ourselves. And we see that these things all bridge. They're not separate. And they should never have been separate. It's about bringing it all together. It's like a puzzle that we're putting pieces together.
Yeah, I love that. And I found that I found that also with my studies in many holistic practices. The mystery school path and the lineage, it brings it all together, all of the parts. And you can see that other practices, it's interesting because, when you study other things, I don't know if you feel the same, but you can see, there's a remnant there, there's a little piece of the puzzle. Oh yeah, they've got a piece of the puzzle there, they've got a piece of the puzzle there. And then, oh my goodness, you put it all together and then you've got the mystery school path. It's like, now I get it. It's like, it makes so much more sense. It's something that takes us on that inner journey. Amazing. So I know you said you don't always wear that hat, and I know you said earlier that you mentioned the stress rescue, and you've been teaching a lot of that. Can you talk us through why that's been so popular right now? Why you've been using it, and who is your audience, and how have they been coping with what's been going on?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and mystery school. It's like, what's mystery school? But we have to remember that it's a system of information and tools and techniques that have been used for thousands of years to support humanity. So why wouldn't it support us now? It seems like, it's so mysterious and all these things, but of course it is. There's a magical element to it because life has a magical element, but there's tools in there that we can use now to help us reach our fullest potential. And that's why I think it's so important to bring it together. And in terms of stress rescue, I love that class. I love that class. I think every human being can benefit from taking that class. And it's just so powerful. And the reason I'm using it right now, it is a class I use a lot anyway, but, to be able to use it online. And, I'm working with an engineering company right now, and I'm Zooming in with them once a week and being able to talk about the stress rescue, being able to come into their space. They're all working from home in different places, working with social services and being able to do it in that way. But essentially, stress is real. And whether or not you think you're stressed, the collective consciousness in the situation in which we're all in is stressful. And we talk about what are the main, not main, but common stressors in life. And a lot of those things are, health issues, financial issues, changes in life, losses in life, legal issues. All of these things are the most common stressors. And pretty much the collective is facing most of the common stressors. And to have that right here in our face amplified without any tools, without any support, people are going to have to deal with their stress, and they are. So there is an increase with mental health. There is an increase with substance abuse. There's an increase of drinking, an increase in binge watching, an increase in binge eating. All of these habits that, are either helpful or unhelpful, but they are helpful in a way because they just help de-stress. But they're unhelpful in other ways, where you start to destruct the body and the brain, or it starts to affect relationships, or it's unproductive and you're just overall not feeling good or low energy. And so what we need to do is actually meet people where they are. Totally, it's stressful, of course. And there are so many tools that are helpful that are going to not just help reduce the stress, but also help you enhance your life, enhance your relationships, enhance your emotions and your feelings, and allow you to understand how your brain works so that you can utilize it in a way that you're focusing on creating what you want in your life and not worried about everything that is changing. So stress rescue, I mean, I could talk all day about that class. I love it. And if you haven't taken it yet, I know, Kate, you're offering it through your center and everything like that. And other people who are watching this, reach out, because it is so fabulous. And there's so many tools and techniques that just one technique at a time you can dive into and receive so much from. So I love stress rescue.
Me too. I find it that, and just like everything that we learn from a magical perspective, it's simple and goes in so deep. You know, it's not overly complicated. These are going back to basics, the foundation, and it's like, boom, all of a sudden it's just like, okay, now I can use this. I can understand it. I can use it. It's not going to take me, all week to master, one thing. I don't have to think about it too much. I'm a big fan as well. And it's so interesting to hear that, that's your, one of your preferred tools, especially going into a place where, logically brain people are with engineers. So it's fantastic. I love that. So tell me a little bit about your center. I mean, I don't know too much about the lockdown rules over in your area. Have you been able to open? And if you have, what have you been able to provide? And what is the center all about? Because I've heard so many great reports about it.
Okay, so I have a place in downtown Sarnia, Ontario, which is like just you would never expect there to be a place in this place, but it's here. And it used to be called Cafe Yoga, and it was a place of lots of gatherings, live music, art exhibits. Just to every first Friday our downtown is open to the public. All of that has stopped, unfortunately, and I would say March, April, May, when things were shut down, it was a matter of, okay, I do everything in person. So gears have to shift. And the flexibility and the ability to just, okay, how am I going to be able to reach out to people if they are not coming here? And so there was a lot of changes and shifts and moving things online. And quite frankly, I've been wanting to do online stuff for a long time, but it takes time, so when things shut down, it was great because it's not just about going online. You have to kind of learn all the different systems and then choose which systems you want to do, then implement those systems and put everything into it. So all of that was a major shift, and great because even though my center is in Sarnia, I actually travel a lot to different locations. So to be able to connect with clients who are all over Ontario, in the States, and even overseas, and what I'm sitting in one spot and everyone's like, I'm in Toronto, or I'm in Sudbury, or I'm whatever. It's just like, wow, this is amazing to be able to see everybody all at once and not be running around like crazy. So there's a lot of benefits to it. But in terms of the center, and I called it Cafe Yoga because I needed to name it something. I thought it was going to be temporary. I just thought I was, I'm here, I got to call it something. And I had no idea that I was going to be staying here this long and building something. And so much evolved from when I started to where I am now. And that evolution wasn't embodied in Cafe Yoga anymore. And so during this period, Cafe Yoga has finished, it's done. The chapter has closed, and I moved into just recreating a new entity that can embody not just this physical place, but everything else that I'm doing as well. So it's called Royal Arts Healing Academy, and it encompasses all the in-person teachings as well as online supports and services. So it's been an adventure, Kate. It really has.
I'm so glad I asked. I knew there was something there, and I was like, I need to ask what's going on. I mean, I really feel that. Oh, what a beautiful name. Oh my goodness, it's amazing. And so, people are going to be able to go there from all over, and you'll have all of your you'll be able to host all of your kids stuff there, all of your sessions, all of your classes. Oh my goodness, it's going to be fabulous.
That's exciting.
So how over there, do you have any idea when things would be opened up, or are you just kind of preparing for that time?
I feel like I'm just dancing along here because like in one city I can teach things, in another city I can't. And so I'm just kind of working with what the circumstances are in the moment. Here I am seeing people in person, one-on-one, small groups for classes. The kids group is happening here. That's twice a week. Empower Thyself is happening later this month. So I'm still teaching in person here in this location. But, you know, moving into other cities, I just constantly have to be in awareness as to what's okay, what's not okay, what are the numbers at, and what are the gatherings at, and just, you know, roll with it.
I think this is a great topic, because there's a lot of people out there who have businesses that are going to have to change and adapt. And so, you know, your perspective, so I'm hearing, is that of excitement, that you've got to do something different. So in that situation where, you know, most people could have gone, oh my goodness, I'm not going to be able to open, and be fraught. But actually what you've done is said, okay, now I have time, I have space, and what I'm going to do is make something even more magical, and it's going to fit into what is happening right now. And I think that speaks volumes of what initiates do. I think that speaks volumes of the tools that we have in Empower Thyself and such like, and it gives people that ability to see something from a different perspective and just recreate. And what what you've just said is that you've turned something that could have been maybe a negative into something that's actually blossoming and blooming. And it's got its own life, that a whole new world, which is phenomenal.
I mean, it's true. And the thing is it's always easier on the other side, right? When it was happening, it was kind of like, okay, all right, this is what's happening, and like, it took time to kind of like allow the process, and really implement what I teach, right? Stress rescue. So like every angle is just trigger. It's like, okay, just breathe, like work through this. And like, Empower Thyself is all about empowerment. And that's a cool word, but what does that mean when you're actually living it? And life happens all the time. And as much as we think right now things are unknown and we don't know what's next and it's all uncertain, life is always uncertain. Always. Yeah, we might have had some kind of routine or structure that made us feel safe and like it was certain, but it's always uncertain. And when we are living in empowerment, I think it's a matter of recognizing that there's always options, there's always choice, and there's always a way to create something new. And when everything was shattering down, it was like, okay, all right, so I can't everything that I do that helps everything stand, puts food on the table, I can't do anymore, so I'm gonna have to figure out something. And when I sat with that, it's kind of like, these are the circumstances, what can I do within these circumstances? And yeah, I got excited because it's like, okay, like the online world, like that's a place that I've been wanting to play in for like a long time. And I was dabbling in it, but I wasn't putting my full energy into that. So to create a whole system that allows for that, it was fun for me. But that was what I chose in that moment. Some people might look at that and think like, oh my God, that's so, like, I could never do online. Well, then what can you do? What do you want to do? And that's what I think, which is awesome, is like, okay, so you're not going to all your parties, you're not going to all your weddings, you're not going to all of these other things that have taken your time and energy. So what are you going to do with your time within the circumstances that you have? People are, starting to learn instruments or new languages, or starting to knit and like pick up all these cool crafty things or interesting things that they've always wanted to do, but just never have. And I think it's just a matter of tuning into yourself again and asking, okay, like, these are the circumstances, what am I going to create within the circumstances? Rather than think, oh, the circumstances have robbed me or taken everything away and I have no choice or I have no will to get through this. And I say that loosely, but it is very difficult for people to adjust. So I do have compassion. I'm not like, I have a lot of compassion where people are at right now, and the stress when things are shattering down and you have no tools. It's a lot. It really is a lot.
I think I agree. I agree, and I think we've discussed this time again. I feel so blessed that I have the tools. I feel blessed that I have the training, that I can navigate and I can get to that next stage or through that glass roof or whatever it is. And so, yeah, I mean, I know that you're the same, and you're reaching out to everybody that doesn't have the tools, and you're there to help and support. And on that note, it is almost time, but I was wondering if we might be able to put in all of your contact details and your online things that are going on, and anything else, because I know people out there that are watching this are going to want to get in touch and connect with you. So I know you do take clients. You are very busy, so I don't get there first, everyone, quickly, because I know you get really booked up. But I would love to put that in the comments if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
That would be amazing. Thank you so much. I've had an amazing time chatting to you, and just understanding so many of the different aspects in your life, coming from that professional background and the arts and how it mixes, and then overcoming as a business owner. Just it's an inspiration, and it's like you said, you're living what you teach. So thank you for being that inspiration.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for having me. Thank you for doing this. I love watching these, and it's really great because you see a lot of people at school 2 or 3 times a year, and I think I don't realize like how great that is, like until like, oh, I haven't been seeing everybody. Like, how's everybody doing? And to be able to see these interviews and like watch people share the different aspects of their life that we don't necessarily hear about. It's been awesome. It really has. Thank you so much for doing this. It's amazing.
It's been my pleasure. It's been my absolute pleasure. And a lot of the things that have come out of the interviews, I didn't know about people. And it's like you say, oh my goodness, they're even more amazing than I actually thought in the first place. I'm like, whoa, those would be great. Thank you so much. And I'm going to put this information in the chat box. So goodbye, everybody, for now. And we'll see you again soon.
Bye. Thank you.